This is Bro, You're Not 20 Anymore, the only podcast that we're aware of that is specifically built for guys teetering past the prime of their early to mid-20s. What does fitness look like for us now with mounting work and family commitments, not to mention an aging body? Well, that's what we're here to talk through. This episode is sponsored by Divine Digital Agency, your mobile app building destination. If you've got an app idea, they do incredible work, and we record our show weekly at their location here in Naples, Florida. I'm Joe Pellegrino, 30-year-old husband, father, and business consultant, and also, most relevantly, a 13-year veteran gym rat.
I am Brett Reynolds, personal trainer, been about 8 years in the industry, and I am committed to helping young business professionals look good, move well, and increase their performance inside and outside of the gym.
That is awesome, man. That's a great mission statement.
And our first official guest, we got my man, Anthony Tumbarello, Coach Tumbarello. Kind of, get him rolling. Him and I actually started personal training together about 8 years ago.
Yep.
And we've been firing all cylinders ever since. We've made multiple steps in the fitness industry, and this is a fitness podcast. So Joe and I felt he'd be a great first guest to get on here and kind of tell us about himself and what he does. And I think we're in store for a good show.
Mm-hmm. We promised you guests. We're giving you guests.
That's it, my man.
Here we are, episode 4.
So, Coach Tumbarello, let's go a 3 to 5 sentence summary, my man, to our listeners on who you are and what you do.
Well, I just want to appreciate you guys bringing me on. I'm very excited. And I'm Anthony Tumbarello. I'm a sports performance coach down here in Naples, Florida. I got in this industry 8 years running now, since 2011. And now I'm just focusing on professional athletes, college athletes, and then I also do help, personal training clients as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to be on here and ready to get going.
Glad to have you, man, especially since you're another Paisan.
Yeah.
We're few and far between down here.
What is that? What does that mean?
Paisan is in Italian. So Paisan, in Italian, the word paisano literally means like countryman. So we call each other paisans.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like it's a pretty.
Hello, Paisan. How you doing?
How you doing, Paisan?
I haven't heard that before, actually. Like I said when we were, off air, I feel like I'm an Italian sandwich between you two.
Literally
You got
sandwich.
Tumbarello and you got Pellegrino.
Dude, that's why, man, going to New Jersey, that's why all my eating habits go to die when I go up there.
Oh, yeah.
Semolina bread and a nice Italian sandwiches with a nice thinly
Yeah,
sliced meat.
yeah.
Come on, man, you can't be talking about all this good food, man.
Every time I go to New York, we have a set menu of where we're going, set destination.
Didn't I say that in episode 1 about New Jersey?
Yep. So before you even land, we know we're gonna go to Vincent's in Manhattan. Then we're gonna go down to Spumoni Island. We'll go to Brooklyn, and we'll usually end up in Coney Island, get a hot dog. It's fun.
So it's the dough, right? That's what.
Well, they say it's the water.
The water, which makes
it does something to the bread that makes it taste unbelievable and makes you feel horrible. So it's something that happens there.
Yeah.
But
it's a wonderful thing.
It's fantastic.
And also semolina flour is. Have you ever had semolina bread? We probably shouldn't be talking about bread on this podcast, but let me just give you a quick education.
It's all about balance.
Yeah, all about balance. Semolina bread. It's a special type of flour. You'll usually see it's like a yellower looking bread, but it's about 8 times the price of regular flour. So they only really have semolina bread in markets that really care about semolina bread. So really, you can't really get it down here. When you go up north, though, they have quite a bit of it, and it's just ridiculous.
Man, you guys are making me hungry, and I'm on 75 days straight, no cheat meals, so
Attaboy.
It's going to be hard.
That's awesome.
Did I tell you about the MFCEO podcast with Andy Frisella?
No, you didn't.
It's a really good entrepreneurship, motivational podcast. But anyways, he kind of came up with this challenge, a 75-day straight challenge that I've been following, and part of it is no cheat meals. So you guys talking about all this dough and food and stuff is like, all right, I'm getting hungry.
Dude,
hungry out here.
I love that. I love the sort of the 75-day kind of constraint. I think that's
It's easy now. I'm only 2 weeks in.
Right.
But
when you're pushing day 60, 61.
Yeah. It's going to be.
where it starts flying.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But by that point, you've made it 2 months. You got to finish.
Yeah.
I mean,
and hopefully it's becoming something that you're integrated into your lifestyle at that point.
Well, dude, I feel awesome. 2 weeks in.
That's a mindset too, though, right? 60 days in, I have to finish. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Professional athletes, mindset.
Exactly. That having that mindset and being able to kind of follow that's what it's all about.
From the mindset standpoint, it is technically most of the parts of the challenge is going to change me physically, but the real benefit is the mental toughness and mindset I'm getting from it on doing something every single day and sacrificing things every single day for 75 days straight. You know, I'll kind of just briefly go into the challenge real quick. I don't want to go too off topic, but it's 75 days straight of working out twice a day. One has to be outside. Taking a progress picture every day.
Just real quick to clarify the first one, outside, could that just be like running?
It could be anything.
Okay, anything. Just has to happen outside.
Anything type of workout outside.
Okay,
at least 45 minutes.
Yep.
So that twice a day. Take a progress picture every day. Drink a gallon of water every day. Let me think here. No cheat meals, no alcohol.
Okay.
You have to follow a diet every single day. And then the last one is read 10 pages of either an entrepreneur book or like motivational self-development book. It's
I love that.
They're habits you can do every single day, but it's the consistency where sometimes life happens where you got to get a little creative and do what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of that is physical stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like the mental toughness and the mindset that I plan to develop through that is where the real value is.
Absolutely. And is it like a specific meal plan, or is it just you create?
You follow a diet.
You follow it, just whatever it is.
That, you know, the whole thing is like there's no, you know, set in stone exact like types of things you have to follow. It's what you know and what you can do your best, but it's the consistency, you know.
Yeah, so it's almost building on that compound effect that we talked about last week. I bought the book. I started the book.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really good, man.
It's good. It's simple stuff.
It is.
And I'll tell you about that book, Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
No.
I have it. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I'll give it to
It's
you.
just about making like little decisions every day that sort of compound upon each other to create better long-term habits, but taking it in small chunks.
Nice.
And it's very, very mentally palatable. Like it's you can do it. You know,
Right.
It's something that you can really sort of wrap your head around.
Yeah, from you know, viewing it standpoint, it's very, very simple. But from an execution standpoint, then it's like, okay.
Well, when it comes time to make the decisions.
Yeah, you know, but that's, you know, kind of what we talk about this podcast all the time is, you know, develop these habits and these additions to your lifestyle that you can do that are small,
Right.
that you can do every single day. Okay, and that's where true growth occurs, is this simple, small stuff.
Absolutely.
So, you know, staying on the mindset standpoint, right? I think this would be a perfect segue to kind of get into, you know, asking Coach like some questions about some of these athletes. You know, you know, I've seen him grow in his career, even more recently, where he's training these high-level guys that are in the NFL and, you know, starting quarterbacks for NFL teams, right? So I guess, you know, the first question we got for you, Coach, is like, have you noticed something that all these guys have in common in regards to mindset, motivation, something that drives them?
Yeah, and I think the biggest key that you can say with all of these guys going in is they know why they're doing it. They have a why.
Yeah, that's
they have a why.
You know,
and even when we assess them, right, or when I get to talk to them, like we go through a physical assessment. It's real quick. We kind of figure out what's going on with them. And then, you know, we get right to work. But then it's getting into weeks, right? You got to build trust with these guys, and you got to work with them and have that consistency. And then you start to talk to them about, you know, where they're from, their family, what they're, you know, and then you get to really dig deep as to why they're doing it.
Yeah, I think if that, you know, so you call it the why, I call it like the driving force, right? It's like, if that's not set in stone, you're almost like just kind of drifting through life, and in their case, just kind of drifting to trying to get to the next level. But it's that, you know, why, that driving force, so to speak, is when like you kind of get through the hard days, right? You know, when you're just getting started on something, the motivation is there, right? But it's like through the hard days is when that why, that driving force takes over to do what you set out to do, even though sometimes you might not feel like it.
Absolutely.
And even when you do it, I really think too, the why changes.
Yeah.
I think people are very stuck on there's only one why and that's it. And then once you hit that why, it's like, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then I think you got to change your why as you grow.
Yeah, because, you know, you're getting more mature, you're getting wiser,
Yep.
you're, you know, overcoming obstacles, you're changing directions, you know, you go on detours in life. So if you have the same motivational force now at our age, you know, around 30 years old, that we had when we were 21, I don't think we're improving in life.
No, definitely not. I mean, when I was 21, all I cared about was looking good.
Yeah,
that's literally all I cared about.
Big muscles, huh?
Big muscles, man. I think I did okay on the arms, but I don't know about everything else. But no, yeah, and it's true that why sort of changes. I mean, my why now is, we've talked about this before. My why now is I want to be able to, get down on the ground and like play with my son, and be able to, rough house with him and stuff like that, and not have to worry about, being hurt or anything from stuff like that. And also, I don't remember if I was talking to you about this yesterday. I was talking to somebody about the whole concept of, just even in the way that I drive or even in the way that I do anything, it's not just me anymore. So if something happens to me, other people are significantly affected by that, other dependents. So if I get hurt, that's a higher workload on my wife, and if God forbid anything even worse than that happens, man, I have people that are looking after me. So my why has significantly changed, over the past 10 years, over the past 3 years even.
Yeah, no, it'll affect your decision making when you have other people relying on you, right?
Exactly.
You almost have to have that.
Well, because you have that cavalier spirit when you're younger, of just the whatever. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna be a little bit dangerous, and then.
Yeah, that's like what these guys, when their whys change because they grow on. I think a lot of it too is like, first off, they want to make an NFL team. Then I think once they make an NFL team, they want to stay on the roster. And then once they stay on the roster, okay, well now I want to start next year. Okay, well then once I'm starting, now I want to be good, and I want to be recognizable. And then it's like, okay, now I want to be great, and now I want to achieve to get to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I think there's different levels. There's progressions, and that's kind of what their driving force is. There's some guys that love training. There's some guys that hate it, but they all, I think, when they come and we get together and we're getting ready to rock and roll, I think the whys show, especially on those days when I kick their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, do you see any more progress from those that have their mindset on point versus those that may be kind of genetically gifted or even super, super talented, to those that are like kind of almost have like an underdog mentality? They have the work ethic, they have that driving force that maybe they came from a smaller school versus someone that played D1, that they were high school All-American, their high school team won the state championship, they've been on that big stage, versus someone that was a smaller private school that maybe went D3 that had a little harder route. Do you kind of see any, differences in mindset towards, these two type of players, or?
There's always different mindsets. I think guys have more chip on their shoulders, but I've been very blessed, and we've been blessed at Total Athletic Performance to be able to have guys that when it's time to work, they all work, and they all bust their ass. Like we set a program out, and when we get into that NFL vet group, and right now we're in our combine group, and it doesn't matter if we have a kid from Bethune-Cookman or if we got a guy from Alabama, which we have right now. Both need to work their asses off, and I think they understand that, and it's getting to a level of, okay, they've done the high school, they're either getting out of the college or now they're at the pros, and there's a different attempt, there's a different mindset. So like when it's time to work and get ready right before OTA start, like these guys, like you said, most of them have families. Most of them need to supply, they have to provide for their families. So them making a roster is the difference between making a 6-figure, 7-figure salary, or having to figure out, okay, what do I do?
What do I do next?
But I now have kids and a wife, and they have no chance, they have no choice but to make it. I think that's when you start. We grind, man. They all grind. I think in some places you get that in high school.
Yeah. Guys
that are very gifted, because I've coached high school football, so I know like the guys that are super gifted, they sometimes won't work as hard come their senior year to when they did their freshman year because they've seen so much growth. But then they get humbled again once they go down in college and they become back on the low totem pole. And I think that's what football does, is it gives you that totem pole effect. Like you start at the bottom, then you get to the top as your senior year, and if you have a good senior year, then you go into a D1 school. From a D1 school, you then have to start at the bottom of the totem pole. You have to prove yourself, even if you're a 5-star recruit.
Yeah, you get humbled periodically in your pursuit of where you want to get to.
Well, yeah, because you go from a 14-year-old boy to an 18-year-old quote-unquote man.
Yep.
So then now you're going from an 18-year-old man.
The best on the team.
The best on the team. Now you go from an 18-year-old man where if you do get the opportunity to have a Division I scholarship, you're playing with guys that are 22, 23, that are full-grown men. Right? And then those 22, 23-year-olds that then graduate to go on to play in the NFL, again, if they get that opportunity, now they're going with seasoned vets. Like, imagine a quarterback going in and he's been great his whole career, and then he gets picked up by the Packers, and now he's got to be under Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, you're not on the top of the totem pole anymore. So if you want to beat out the best or learn from the best, you have to change your mindset.
No, I think that's an awesome point on the competition should always be growing. Every type of endeavor you choose to do in life is always, you're better off surrounding yourself with high level competition because that's going to bring the best out of you than going and being like around weak competition to where you're always the standout, right? Because eventually you'll get complacent and you won't continue to compete, right? Because competition, I know for a fact the three of us dudes on these mics right now are very competitive guys, right?
Oh yeah.
So from a competition standpoint, you always kind of got to be looking for that next move to kind of surround yourself with people that are like-minded and they have that level of competition mindset, if not the same as you or better than you.
I agree 100%.
Definitely. I mean, otherwise you get bored. And that's really in any kind of aspect of
anything.
Life. If you're not challenging, if you're not constantly moving the goalpost, you just kind of, the second that you don't feel like doing it, you just sort of sink back in.
Or if you don't have any competition in anything you do. If you don't have any competition at work, if you don't have any competition in life, if you don't have any, then, for me, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's not fun.
No, it's like, it's not.
No, I mean, I could go on about the concept of competition all the time, whether we're playing ping pong or Madden or something. It's
fantasy football
or fantasy football.
I for this year, guys.
My man beat me in the championship.
Oh man, was it literally you guys up against each other?
Yeah. Awesome. But I told him this. I was like, if I'm going to lose to anyone in the entire league, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
And
same here.
Wholeheartedly mean that.
Same here when he won his.
Don't get it twisted. I wanted to win though. Don't get it twisted. I wanted to win, but like I said,
you had to lose. Anthony's the guy you lose.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give Anthony, 1 win out of hundreds of everything we've competed against.
Here we go. I knew that was coming. Backstory real quick. Me and Brett have known each other for 10 plus years now. Went to high school together and have been best friends since. So the competition has been very high. Very high in every single thing that we've done.
Yeah, and we've also been on the same side. Like we grew a bond playing football together in high school, where him and I talk about all the time is him and I running out of the tunnel, like side by side, last to come out of the tunnel, to like a very hostile environment, playing a state-ranked team in high school that had numerous high school football championships, and then like him and I running out there going to battle, right? Yeah. This is 17, 18 years old. Now we're 29, 30 years old, and now we're talking like business advantages or stuff like that, competing against others. Like, we love going head to head, but at the same time it's like it's him and I versus the world as well, right?
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
So I'm glad, Ant, you brought up that backstory, man, because that's good stuff right there.
Everybody loves a buddy comedy, Everybody loves the buddy bond.
The bromance.
The bromance.
The bromance.
Yeah. Brett, do me a favor, tilt your microphone a little bit, because you want that flat edge that's towards your face. That's where you're receiving the sound. So you're talking like this right now.
Okay.
I kind of want it to be a little bit like ahead of you.
Okay.
There you go. Just like that. It captured it. You're good. It's just it's clear that way.
Okay. Cool. Good deal.
But
keeping us on point, Joe. Love it.
Keeping us on point.
See, so we're kind of building this foundation of this podcast where you're organized and you keep us on track, and I love that.
Try.
And you're kind of bringing me back down to earth, like, yo, man, this is what we're doing, So I think it's good. Our personalities complement each other.
No, for sure.
So,
for sure. It's not like you're disorganized or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm trying to wrangle a bull or anything.
Yeah. Well, I just want to commend you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do.
And we got a nice format. And let's go a little more formal questions for Ant. While we got him on here.
So one of the questions, Brett and I talked about this yesterday, and we were just kind of, brainstorming the things that we wanted to kind of get out of you, and just kind of continuing on that path of the professional athlete mindset. You talked about these guys have their why. So beyond their motivation, what are the habits that these guys have that make them elite?
Everyone's different. Everyone has their own special thing that they do, and I think they formulated that from high school, college. But I mean, they know it. They know when it's time to eat, and they know when it's time to play.
Yeah.
And I think they know when it's time to grind, and they know when it's time to chill.
So keeping that sort of discipline in their schedule.
Yeah. So like they know, like this time of year right now, for those guys that aren't playing for a championship, this is their fun time. Go out and have fun. You just did a grueling 16 weeks, 20. Think about 20 weeks with preseason. Think about OTAs before that, and then mini camps, and some of these guys like. Derek will my director will say it all the time, like their longest time that they have is from the end of the last day of their college football game, their last college football game, up until their last NFL game from their first year. Because they literally go from last college game to combine training with us to rookie mini, once they get to draft day, which is stressful, to then go right into rookie mini camp, to then come right back for 3 weeks, and then go right into OTAs, then go right into the season, and then go preseason, and then go right into the season.
Wow.
And there's no stop between the whole way. So it is grueling until right now at this point.
So from, picking off like the habit question, what's the process of them coming to you day one?
Yep.
All right. And kind of take us through, because essentially what they're doing with you is developing habits, whether it's training hard, it's warming up well, it's recovering. What's kind of the process and what you're trying to do with them from start to finish, starting with, their last game of college to, that little period of time off, to getting to you to start training with this goal in mind to get ready for the combine, and then hopefully get drafted, move on to the NFL. What's your process from like kind of day one to draft day?
So basically, once they come to us, they've usually just finished a bowl game, or they finished their last college game. Their agents will come in. Derek will usually assess them with a functional assessment. We'll kind of look and see what they have going on. We'll evaluate it, and that's just like from a physical assessment.
Okay.
And then once we get to them, then we basically take the reins from there. We tell them when they have to be in, what they have to be eating. Like they get set up with Chris, our nutritionist. He gets all their meals planned for them. He tells them exactly when they need to be eating, what they need to be eating, how much they need to be eating. And then for us, it's mornings are on the field, afternoons are in the weight room. They get their little breaks in between. We'll go that through Monday through Friday, and then Saturday we'll hit them Saturday morning for a lift. And that's it. And then they'll have off from Saturday afternoon to Sunday, which is not really off time. It's more recovery because they need it.
Yeah.
And then we'll also, we work with, massage and PTs and cryotherapy. And so we figure and we schedule all that in.
And we want to get into all that.
They are structured. Like they are, okay, 8:30 we roll on the field. That means you need to be in the gym at 8. You need a foam roll stretch. We take from our cars, we go straight to the field. From the field, we hit another series of warm-ups, athletic warm-ups. Boom, we hit our field work. We get in the things that we need to do that they're going to be running. Okay, cool. After that, you guys go home, eat, shower, chill. Boom. 1 o'clock, you guys are here in the weight room. This is the plan. We're rocking and rolling. Boom, we're hitting this thing. We're rolling till it's usually an hour and a half.
So it's 2-a-days.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
every
2
day.
days. Every day.
For what? 3 months?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
For those guys that
2
are going
months.
to the combines. If they're not going to the combine and they have their pro day, it all depends on when their pro day is, which then we have to then
be prepared for
because then we have to, as we program out and we plan and we assess, then it's like, okay, if a guy's got, the combine's usually that last weekend in February, first week in March. Like that's usually when it is. So it's usually like 28th, 29th, and then the first, second, third, depending on what you are, lineman, when you run. But then for guys that have their pro day, that's in March, but they don't have it until March 17th, March 20th. There's some guys that'll be the March 29th. They'll be in that last day.
Yeah.
And it's like
essentially getting a whole another 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, so they essentially so on that time we have to program for that because obviously our 8-week program that we set up for combine cannot be the same for a 12-week guy that's going there because there needs to be deload weeks and there needs to be recovery times and there needs to be like everything flows because
your goal is to get them peaking at the right time.
Right, and I've learned from the best. I've been blessed to be under 2 great directors that have taught me a lot of mentors that have taught me a lot, and what I've seen every single time, and even doing it myself is we know exactly where to get them.
Yeah.
Right where this is where they need to peak, and this is where they need to hit their optimal. Boom, you're going to hit it, and the training goes that way, and then they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it dependent on the athlete where that peak is, or is that pretty consistent across the board?
It depends on where they are. It depends on their limitations and what they have. And again, some guys are coming off injuries. Some guys are perfectly healthy. Some guys got a banged up ankle. And we'll always say it. There's never been a day where we've had one where we've programmed a full day and everything goes according to plan.
nothing like it's perfect, right?
Never, because a guy's got a hurt hammy, so then we got to pull up on his sprints, but then we can't run his 40s right because he can't fully go. So then we got to pull back, and then we got to start doing different things, and we got to treat it. And it's there's a whole different thing, and everything's always changing. The guy's ankle's sore, his calves are sore, his chest is sore, and on a bench and. It's
how much of it is being like, oh yeah, okay, you need to recover from this, and dude, man up.
There's a lot of man up. There's a lot of dude man up
because it's essentially do or die. You got 8 weeks.
Yeah, we got 8 weeks,
and
I will say this is they're doing things that they're not used to doing, so they are very, very uncomfortable. They played football their whole career, their whole life, up until this point. We are not teaching them to be football players. We are basically teaching them to become sprinters.
Yeah.
Wow. So our training is totally different for combine than it is when they're here ready to go for the off season. We're getting ready for them to go to battle. Here I'm getting ready to go as fast as they can in a straight line.
Wow.
And that's the difference.
It's a matter of inches and seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
points of a second.
So for very novice people that don't know anything about the NFL Combine or a pro day, you want to quickly summarize what kind of events are in the NFL Combine?
Yeah, so every year the NFL hosts a combine. It's in Indianapolis, and it's pretty much a physical interview.
You going again this year?
Yeah, I'll go again, of course. Physical interview, and with that physical interview, it is basically they run a 40, they go a 5-10-5, they go an L drill, they do a bench press, they do a vertical jump, and they do a long jump. As well as doing all those things physically, then they go in and they kind of get their body examined. They have to go through all these doctors. It's a very, very extensive week that they have. They're in interview processes with coaches. They're getting all these questions thrown at them. They're getting talked to by media. There's fans everywhere. It's a big deal, and it's a lot of stress. And for the first time, last year was the first time that I actually got to go. And even for me, I was like, holy crap, this is a lot, especially for a guy who's coming in and seeing all this for the first time that isn't from a big school. Now we got a kid from Alabama. I'm sure this isn't going to faze him. He's used to this, this type of circus deal every single day.
He's used to the media.
Yeah, but then you get a kid who's not from a big school and doing this, and his eyes are just last year we had John Kaminsky from Charleston, which is a D2 school, and his eyes are like, oh yeah.
I can't even imagine.
He loves it, but you know what? Then you see the guys that love it,
right?
And they love it. They fall in love with it.
Yeah,
you get into it, and then you start signing people's stuff, and then everywhere you go, you're getting escorted places, and you're meeting all these coaches. These guys will meet. All 32 coaches will be there. All scouts will be there. So these guys will meet all these guys that they watch on TV, and they're like, oh, this is real. Yeah.
One of my best friends played baseball for UF.
Nice.
And he had moved over from we started at a small Christian school in West Palm Beach called Palm Beach Atlantic University, so he went from there to a JUCO to UF his junior year, and I mean, just unbelievable the treatment, and that's the baseball program. I can't even imagine the football program.
Oh yeah.
I mean the amount of gear that he got, and just the media around the whole thing. I think he was telling me, he's like, it's crazy how it is. He's like, but if I get drafted and go to the minors, it's almost like a step down when you kind of go that way.
Yep, that's what we're just talking about, almost, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like
you get humbled.
Yeah,
you gotta get humbled again.
Exactly. That's nuts, man.
So you just kind of listen to you talk, Coach. These guys have a lot on the line moving forward from where they're at.
Yes.
I would assume that, safety and recovery has to be on the top end of the totem pole in regards to what you're doing for these guys, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Just kind of seeing you where you're at in your training career and where you came from, I know, you and I both have kind of developed this, mindset and of the importance of recovery. So kind of, and Joe can kind of elaborate on where he's came from, but he's suffered 2 severe lower back injuries. So his, mind is opening up the best ways to recover. And I know we got, some questions for you, but what are some processes of recovery you have for these guys that you tend to do throughout the daily routine?
So like when they first get in, the first thing they do is they foam roll.
Okay.
So it's like a myofascial release. They hit their trigger point stuff. Their legs are sore. They got all this lactic acid that'll build up. So we'll foam roll them out.
Right off the bat.
They
walk through the door, they grab a foam roller.
First thing they do is they grab a foam roller. And that's with every single one of our athletes. That's with every single one of my clients. Every single person that walks in, they have to foam roll, and they have to foam roll. We start with the quads. They go the lateral quads because that's where you usually get the most buildup. They have to hit the hamstrings. They hit the glutes. They hit the calves. Hit their lower back. Again, if they have certain areas, then we'll have trigger point balls like, in the back of the shoulders and the scaps and different areas like that. Then they'll start to, put a trigger point ball in there. We'll start to move them around. And then
so soft tissue work off the bat.
Right off the bat. And then, from there, it depends on who it is. Like when I had Mark Coffers, he was dealing with some stuff going on.
Who was he?
He's a baseball player over at FGCU. We did shoulder repair work and shoulder recovery work and shoulder mobility work. And just because the shoulders, there's so much taxing on their shoulders. So like I have a whole routine that I would do with him. Which is PVC pipe work, band work. He'll be doing book openers and different things like that we do. And then I have a lower mobility stuff that I do for guys that are like really tight in their groin, really tight in their hamstrings. Their lower back is bothering them. Their hip flexors are strained. Different things like that. And so there's a whole progression that these guys will do. And if they're banged up, we encourage them to do it, right before we get going.
Okay.
And what's the thought process behind the sort of before? Like what physiologically is happening?
It's honestly just warming the body. Like if we were to, from my perspective and what I think, and everyone has different philosophies of how they do stuff. But I know what we like is when they come in, we want them to foam roll. We want them to break all that lactic acid up. We want all that stuff moving. And we want to get the blood moving just a little bit and just enough before we put them through a warm up and a dynamic warm up. So like that's why we'll do that. As far as the mobility stuff goes, if like they're really tight in their groin and we're asking them to do a warm up of whether that's just a light run or a bike or something like that, and it's really bothering them, all we're going to do is make it worse. So why not pull back the reins a little bit and say, hey, let's do this mobility work. Again, more blood flow. You always want blood flow to the areas. You always want them moving and grooving in a certain way. And once they feel good, they're like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we kind of let them mentally too. It's more of a mental thing as well.
I love that point.
Mentally getting ready to go. Of like,
it's like
okay.
A pregame.
Yeah, it's like a pregame.
Yeah.
They came in, they walked into the gym, they know the routine, they know what they need to do. They come in and they know, okay, once I start rolling and once the body will start to adapt to that.
It wakes up a little bit.
It's like, okay, something's about to happen right now. And it's happened like this now for the last 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
That every time I get on this roller and every time I start moving and grooving this stuff, that we're rolling and we're moving.
Cool.
I love that concept, man. It's like an experience, right?
Yeah.
You're walking into the gym, you're saying what's up to everyone. It's like, okay, now foam rollers in hand, I'm getting down to the floor. It's like you take that 3 to 5 minutes to kind of get your mind right.
Yep.
It's like that pregame. And I think massage work is so underrated. I've been making it a goal myself to start getting into like some deep tissue massages from like professionals.
I think it's starting to hit that peak though,
Yeah.
where social media has made it known that the information is out there that going to see someone who is a professional to do this and is licensed to do this is a benefit to your health. It's another form of health. And I think people think, oh, I think health, just working out. And then I think, what's the second one? Oh, diet. But the one that's always been missing is recovery.
Yeah, recovery.
Like, I remember, and we can all sit here and say, because we're around that age, there was no recovery when we were in high school football. Heck no. It was get in. There was not really a warm up. It was run around the gym twice.
Lift heavy, run
get in
fast.
there, lift heavy, run fast, drink a protein shake, and you're good to go. And there was never any
See, a couple hours
stretches.
for the
Yep.
2 a day.
Yeah.
The first time that I really got exposed to it was when our college strength coach in Iona made us do yoga. That's the first type of stretching that I ever did.
Really?
The second type of stretching that I ever did was when I met Derek over at when he owned Velocity, and he had me go on a foam roller and stretch before we did everything. Before that, I never stretched a day in my life. Never.
No, I'm in the same boat. I always make the joke. So I started really focusing on mobility and flexibility when I got into CrossFit, right? the first CrossFit workout I ever did was front squats. And I literally tried to get in a front rack.
I still can't do that.
And almost decapitated myself. Almost choked myself out. Almost ripped my wrist in half. And it was terrible. And I was still fairly deep into working out at that point. But I could always make the joke. I have the super heavy back squat. But at that point, if I'm overhead squatting or front squatting, I got soccer moms out lifting me just because they're more flexible and mobile. So I'm like, you know what? There's more than training. There's more than just strength or big muscles, right? There's there's this whole concept of flexibility and mobility.
Yeah, man.
And you kind of had a very similar situation.
But it's knowledge, though.
We didn't know. Well, it's not even. It's that, but then it's also from the institutional perspective, there was no knowledge. But from our level, there was no knowledge, but also there was no resources.
Right.
And it was just you can stretch for 5 minutes if you want, and nobody likes doing that. So no, I'm not going to do that.
Because it's not fun. It's not sexy.
Fun. It sucks. Yeah. But and also, I don't know what your sort of philosophy on this is, but just the difference between active and what is it, active and passive stretching.
Yeah.
And mostly, it would be that sort of passive stretching, just sitting sitting in the position for 30 seconds before doing anything else. And not that doesn't have its place, but there's this whole other realm of active stretching. We've gotten into it a couple times, on our show, so I don't want to get too deep into it. We can talk about it later. But like Brett said, I've had a couple pretty significant injuries, and all of those have sort of led me to realize that you have got to figure this recovery thing out, this mobility thing out. You've got to figure it out, because it's not just about lifting heavy, and it's not even about it's not even about the full range of motion that you can do, because even when I do a full range of motion for something, it doesn't mean that that's physiologically, anatomically my full range of motion. It's just right now, this is what I'm able to do.
Right.
And sort of being able to push those limits, and my hips and my shoulders are just locked up.
Yeah.
And it's it's really hard to go to the gym and focus on those things when there's so many other toys out there to play with.
Of course.
But those are the things that are so important. So what I've started integrating into my routine, and I've been doing it pretty much as long as I've been doing the notebook thing, is just spending 10 minutes before a workout. And it's not enough. I know it's not enough, but it's compound effect. But it's 10 minutes of just getting down on a yoga mat with a Swiss ball, and just doing different hip movements, just trying to wake my hips up, and getting to my hamstrings, and I'm just doing some active stretching from that perspective. And I mean, to be honest, I can't say I've really seen a difference. But I know,
But
that's the thing.
But it's also too, it's longevity.
Right.
The more that you keep doing it, and if you don't do it, here's the difference: is you doing that little stuff every single day for 10 minutes is going to be way better than if you did absolutely nothing. Because the types of lifts that you're going to do, and especially when you want a day where you want to get after it, those are the ones that you're going to take the steps back, and you don't even know it until you're 10 more years down the road, or 5 more years. And we're getting to that age, dude, because there's times where I wake up and I'm like, oh crap. And it's the first thing I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And even me sometimes. And I'm around it 24/7, 7 days a week. And even there's sometimes with me, I'll go in and I won't warm up before. And I know it, and it's in my head. And then for the next 3 days, I'm walking around like a gimp, I don't know what to do right now. And then I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. Go here, do this, get on the stem, put this, put that, get myself in this. And then, too, I have someone to keep me accountable.
Yeah.
Trainers have trainers. I have my sensei Felipe, and he'll help me out whenever I got something going on, and we'll lift together. And
That's
and without that, to be honest, I really think I wouldn't be in the position that I'm at.
Sure.
Just kind of piggybacking on that longevity standpoint, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. I always talk about lifelong fitness, right? If you're not incorporating these recovery techniques now, we're not going to be able to do what we want to do 5-10 years down the road in fitness, right?
Yeah.
So, we have to do that in terms of playing the long game, right? Playing the long game. We want this to be long-term, not short-term.
Which is the exact thing we do with our athletes.
Yeah.
So, let's bring it back full circle and talk about the pro athletes. That's what we do.
Yeah.
These guys need to last as long as they can in the league, because when they stop playing, they stop getting paid.
Right.
And again, that's the difference. And our goal is, taken away from combine. Now let's talk about the vets that'll come in, or the guys that are in their first, second, third year. Our goal is to keep them in the league as long as we can.
But and even a step beyond that, you don't want them to be cripples when they leave the league.
Right, exactly.
You want
Well, that I think, the game is going to be the game,
Well,
and that's what they all sign up for, and they know that.
Sure.
From the training standpoint, yes, they can now recover more. There's a ton of band work they can do. They know the things that they need to do, and now again with social media and everyone being so aware, and now finally all of this knowledge, like you said, has now come to the forefront, and everyone can see it. Now they know, okay, I need to go to my PTD and I need to get this work done. Okay, now I need to go to the cryotherapy. I got to get the cryo chamber. Okay, now I need to put the Normatec boots on because I had a long day, and it all comes together in one nice pie.
It's nice that all of that stuff is out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost overwhelmingly so.
Right.
And there's almost
for people, yes, I agree. For people that don't know and aren't in that realm, like these guys have always been in that realm, and like you said, the guys that went to Florida and the guy that we have from Alabama, they walk into this.
Right.
You know what I mean? They've been groomed into this. But for like someone like Brett, that don't really know any of this or don't study it, and if we're just regularly going to hit the gym as bros, we have no idea this stuff is out there. So if we hurt our shoulder, our thing is, hey, go see a doctor. Guess what the doctor's going to do?
Surgery.
He's going to hit you with a shot, or he's going to say surgery. Instead, there are so many mobility things that you can do to avoid all of that.
Right.
And that's where the knowledge comes from.
Yeah, and this is very, very new, these recoveries and mobility techniques, because, if we kind of look at like the guys in the golden era that were bodybuilders or, super strong guys, Arnold, Ronnie Coleman, to kind of use that as an example, they're beat up.
Oh yeah.
They're really beat up.
Yep. There was the stretching, and I'm sure there was some sort of knowledge back then as far as what it was, but also too, they were also loading weight. Loading weight. And I think that sometimes it's not good to load all that weight. I know you got to chase strength, but then there's also times where you got to chase endurance.
Yeah.
And there's also times when you got to chase longevity, and you got to change your training up. You can't just go from trying to lift heavy year round, because that's,
I mean, it comes down to the goal, right?
We've seen this in LA Fitness, Brett, from being there. That's where we started, right? So you see these guys in here that every single day they're going for their max. Every single day, 1 rep max, 1 rep max, 1 rep max, 1 rep max, right? And then you look 5 years down the road, and now they can't even come close to that 1 rep max and get full range of motion. Half of them, if we're talking about the bench, can't even get on a bench anymore without their shoulders, just in agony pain.
Right, that's me.
Exactly.
I would not agony, because I started taking a couple steps back. Because one of my injuries, I don't know if you see this scar.
Yeah.
One of them was a bench pressing injury. My shoulder just came off.
Yep.
So I mean, now I'm finally back up putting 2 plates.
Nice. Good.
As in two 45s on each side. What's that? Two
Cadillac.
225. Yeah, 225. You see, I even lost track of the weight measurements. But
I'm stretching too much, man.
I know. I'm trying to get back in now.
Get off the yoga mat. Get up back on the bench press, Joe.
I know. No, but I'm telling you though, dude, like there's like a paranoia that comes, but also to your point, like I put up 335 4 times. What does that do for me today?
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, literally nothing.
Nothing.
That's not to say that it was a dumb goal to have, and I always had the goal of putting up 400, but in the grand scheme of things, where the context of that is what's missing. It's okay. Put up 400 pounds at full range of motion, because your body is not just strong enough to just push that weight, but to really be able to functionally get that weight up the right way.
Right. Have you progressed to do that?
Exactly.
So that's where there's progressions, and there's progressions in training. Like for sports performance stuff and everything else, like we will progress, and we'll start from where we go from day one in our general prep phase to where we are at the end. It's 2 totally different styles of training.
Yeah.
These guys are every 2 to 3 weeks, new stuff's coming. So like what I like to do is I like to focus on something for 2-3 weeks. Okay, progress. New things. 2-3 weeks. Okay, progress. 2-3 weeks, progress. And then their numbers change and their weights change and their, how many reps are changing. Everything's changing. And so there's the goal and the philosophy behind it is to progress so that when they get ready to go, they're at their peak and they're their strongest.
So just kind of staying on the bench press program, just because we're talking to bros out there. So there's max rep 225 bench press in the combine. What's the bench program kind of look for these guys?
I mean, it's all muscular endurance based. I don't give a damn how much you can lift.
1 rep max doesn't mean jack.
Nope, it don't mean jack. Because I know guys that can, and we've seen it. grown men that can put up 400, 500 max, or they say, hey, I've maxed 495 before.
Getting 225
okay,
225,
and they're at like 11, 12. And it has nothing to do with their strength.
Yeah.
They don't have the
Muscle
endurance.
stamina.
Yeah, they don't have the endurance to go. And so why they do the 225 for the thing is to see, okay, where is your muscular stamina? Where are you at right now? How much can you go? Because the NFL and a full-on game in the NFL is go, 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 go.
So what's a bench press endurance program look like?
Yeah.
So like we'll always start in like sets of 8 to start. We'll do a lot of bench stuff. Then we'll do a lot of, time under tension. There's bands. There's, it's kind of like a little conjugate built in there too.
The conjugate method.
Then
Shout out West Side.
there's a lot of different.
What's the conjugate method?
You want to answer that?
Explain it, Brett. Let's hear it.
So it's adding multiple variations. Okay, he mentioned bands, which is like accommodating resistance. You can do chains, you can do pauses, you can do variations in reps. So it's just multiple variations pertaining to a move, maybe the bench press, maybe the deadlift, maybe the squat.
It's all under certain times too.
Okay.
It's like their rest periods will be, 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds you're going.
Rest time is also another variation.
Yeah.
Rest
Right,
30
okay.
seconds, rest
Yeah.
a minute. But it's basically kind of picking one style of movement, meaning bench press, and multiple variations towards that to kind of throw multiple different stimulants at it. So when it's time to just hit straight weight 225, it's like I've been doing all this different variations, all this, like this should feel a lot easier now because it's just straight weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's different things too. Like we'll always do different rep schemes. They'll always, we'll do low angle, high angle benches. And then every Saturday, like we'll do some sort of 225 challenge and we'll see where we're at.
Yeah.
And like that's what we've been doing, especially in the beginning. Then once we get a solid idea of where we're at and what we're building on, okay, then it's also too the warm up to it, right? What's their warm up like? So like, just to give you an example, today I had Tanner in here. He's a linebacker for Boston College, getting ready for his pro day. Derek and I last week, Derek said, hey, let's do this, and this. I said, okay, cool, let's do it. Warm him up and go. Today, him and I looked at each other and goes, for 5 minutes, just let him do what he wants to do. Don't say a word to him. Just say, hey, you got your 225 in 5 minutes, put him on the clock and see what happens and
You kind of just
go
do
for
his thing.
Kind of let him do his thing, right? And both were around the same number. So, we want to change that, right? So, okay, this worked, this didn't work. We like this, he didn't like that. He'll get a feel for it and say, hey, I think what I did for my last one before my warm-up was too heavy. I want to go a little bit lighter. I think that works best for me. And it's just self-awareness of the bench and where they are.
So go back to kind of, you like to do like what, some friendly competitions on Saturdays?
Yeah, like we'll do.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, like I personally always feel like they need to be competing, and not competing against each other, but competing against the clock. Right? Like they need to be pushing themselves, and they need that football locker room vibe. They do. And I think like when we do like a series, like right now Tanner's on his own because we got guys in the NFLPA game, we got guys in the Shrine, so it's kind of different. When those other guys get back in there, and like I'll always say for the NFL stuff, I'll make them do, I have a sled just torture that I let them do, and they push each other and they're like fighting with each other and they're trying to compete and they're trying to grind and go faster, and it was grueling over the summer, but those guys loved it.
Dude, that's where
They
you're
loved
building confidence, you're building mental toughness, you're building camaraderie with the guys you are, you're making memories.
They're just hype. It's hype.
It's hype. It's a different
hype.
level of energy when you're in versus when you're in there by yourself.
Well, also too, a lot of these guys don't like doing it. They have to do it.
Yeah.
And they know they have to do it, so they mentally prepare themselves to do it. There are some guys that hate the weight room. They hate it. They just want to get on the field and just be football players. And they could go in there
It's the Booby
and
Miles
just be
mentality, man.
just be football players. Like there are some guys that are that talented that they don't really have to work out and do it, but they still come in, they still grind every single day, they give it everything they got and they push for it. And they're like, these guys are like, I could be on the beach, I could be chilling, but they're like, I'm in here doing this, and then I'm having them do some sled push thing. It kind of gets them hyped a little bit. The music, the vibe, what do we got going on? Me screaming in their face. It's kind of like a whole different vibe that they're used to.
Yeah.
So, and then it becomes familiar again because then it takes them back to their roots of where it all started, which is high school football and coaches screaming and yelling with the whistle, and then going to college, everything's so structured and timed, and you're on a timer in a second, you can't even get a water break. to then go into this, so now they're professionals. Now they're kind of getting a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because the NFL will be a little bit more lenient when it comes to their strength training and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like it's from a camaraderie standpoint, man, and it's just kind of like a psychological thing. When you're the biggest relationships that are built is when you and a group suffer together, right? And essentially that's what you're doing. You're creating a tense, high energy environment to where they're pushing this sled and they're grinding together and they're suffering together and they're pushing each other. So like
For 20 minutes straight.
they're in the trenches, right? They're in the gut-wrenching trenches, ultimately suffering together. And when one wants to stop, the other one's gonna pick them up and say, nah, you ain't stopping on my watch, buddy, we're in this. So like, dude, it's just, human behavior is like the strongest bonds are built is when you suffer through something and come out the other side.
Yep.
So that's essentially what you're creating for them in this
Yeah.
high energy, intense sled environment is like, I'm gonna beat you guys to the ground, and then I'm gonna help all of you up, and you're gonna help each other up, and come out 1,000 times stronger mentally and physically.
Yeah, and that's our goal too. Our goal has always been to bring these guys together and keep them together and keep that camaraderie that every summer they know, okay, we're gonna go down to Total Athletic Performance. We're gonna be with Derek. We're gonna be with Anthony. And we're just gonna get our ass kicked for the next 3 weeks right before OTAs. Like it's mentally set. Like all right, but they also know they're gonna have fun with it too.
For sure.
They also know what they're benefiting out of it. They know they're gonna get what they need, and then they're gonna be ready to go. And it kind of starts like sometimes we'll get guys from Combine that'll come, and then they'll guys that'll go, and then. But we had a really core group this summer. I'm hoping that we have one this upcoming summer as well.
Yeah. So what are the things that you do with your pre-combine athletes that you would recommend to non-athletes and average Joes?
So to be honest with you, the recovery and the mobility stuff that I do with those combine guys are the exact same things I do with all my clients. So when they come in, they all have to grab that foam roller. They all have to stretch.
Your personal training clients.
My personal training clients. All of them have to come in and they have to do a foam roller. Or we've created some sort of mobility plan that we started together from the initial assessment that I've had with them to say, okay, your shoulders are tight, or we are this, or we're that. So you need to grab a PVC every day before we're going to do upper body day. And they know what day it is coming in, most of them. I don't like the surprises. I like programming it out, and they know exactly, okay, I'm hitting upper today, I'm hitting lower today. There's some that don't like me to tell them, so I won't, but it's already all programmed. There are some that like it on the fly, and they'll change up. And again, like I said, you're never gonna go through one session and it's exactly programmed the way you want. But then they'll go through all their mobility stuff. So like they'll do a lower body mobility where we do like a hip series. We have them go through a dynamic warm up, and they do all that stuff, and they like doing that before the session. Then there's some that'll go through their shoulder mobility and they'll do the PVC and they'll do like T-spine rotations and they'll do all that stuff because they know what to do and we've done it. For 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks that I get them. That's always the focus. As soon as someone comes in and trains with me, first 2 weeks what I do is we do a full body assessment. I figure out, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? Something's this, if this hurts, why is it hurting? Is it hurting because of an injury from here? Is it a cross symmetry thing? Like what's going on? And then once we can evaluate, okay, one shoulder sits a little higher, one hip sits higher, then there are certain things that we can do and exercise that we can give them to do in the gym and on their own to then start to correct those things, so they're getting the full benefit of the program. And when we're doing a squat, we can see perfect progressions because their hips are all aligned right. Everything's flowing at 100%.
I love it, man. We need to talk further.
Yeah, definitely.
So kind of to piggyback off that and your question, Joe, Anthony and I have the same philosophy on training, right? We feel like both of our jobs is kind of bridge the gap between the way we train and the way athletes train, whether it's high-level NFL guys or just regular personal training clients, right? Intensity and that is relative, but there's no reason why we can't try to bridge the gap on regular people training like athletes, right? Because from a functionality standpoint, that's where you're making the money, right? Is training like an athlete, and just making it relative to where everyone's currently at, and that's where the whole assessment kind of comes in into play. But I always say, like, there's no reason why someone comes into the gym that's never played a sport in their life. There's no reason why we can't take the philosophy on training like an athlete,
sure,
making it relative to them, but bridging that gap. I always try to make the joke, it's like, people that come into the gym where their goals are to just kind of change the way they look and the way they feel, But in order to do that, we're still going to train them like athletes because there's so much, value there that they can take, even though they're not technically they played sports or anything like that. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Brett's always laughed at me too when I said I want to create better functioning human beings. Look, see, you did it there. That's what I want to do. I want to create a better functioning human being.
Yeah.
Because most, and I would say most, and if we're talking about bros, and what we do is we go to the gym like LA Fitness or Crunch Fitness or something like that, and we put up weights, and we never, ever, ever have we touched a sled.
Yeah.
If we did, it was in high school football, and we remember what it felt like.
Any sleds in
There is one in Crunch.
Corporate gyms.
There is one in
Right,
Crunch.
right. So, and then where my take was is that's where functional gyms are starting to make that push.
Yeah.
Where you went today,
You're seeing that a
right?
lot.
Brett went today to Athletica, right? He went there. Why? What was the biggest takeaway from that? The only video that I saw him post today was him in the functional training room, where the turf was on the floor and he was getting after it, and there are people behind them doing sleds and all this other stuff. And it's like, why can't we train like that? Because the program before and what everyone thought before was, oh, we got to lift as much weight as we can, and if we're not, we're going to get smaller, and and now that kind of bodybuilding bulky look is kind of getting out. Because why? If we're talking bros here, girls don't like it anymore. What do girls like? They like the athletic looks. They like guys that look like athletes.
My wife
football
said to me the
players.
other day,
You're getting too bulky. You got to trim up. Yeah, and it's like at that point
muscles.
But at that point we were always chasing. And at one point, I'm 165 now. I was 205 at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Like Brett can remember, I had no neck. I was just chasing to be gigantic. I was chasing to be gigantic. I was able to put 365 on the bench.
Yeah.
Should we tell that story real quick?
Sorry, now we got to hear it.
Okay, so I'm a senior in high school. Anthony's a freshman in college. And one of our buddies had a signing day at the school we graduated high school from. And so as, we're all in the library to support this signing, Anthony comes back from college.
Which none of them have seen me since I left in July.
Okay.
So he walks in and he's wearing like a 3XL white tee.
Oh my gosh.
And Anthony, he's 5'6".
When I graduated high school, I was 170 pounds.
5'6", 170, little slot running back.
Yeah.
Right.
But dude, he comes back and
I was
like said,
195 at that point as a straight college running back.
no neck, traps are just out of this world. So he walks in, and the first thing I say to him,
Screams it out. He screams it out. And as soon as I walked in, I didn't even and then everyone goes silent and he goes, "Where's your neck?"
That's awesome, man.
but I think
That's so funny.
it's kind of dawning back in, man. It all comes down to essentially what your goals are, right?
Yep.
And we are deep into the training career now, 8 years running, that like we are developing this awareness, like, okay, if we want to do this long term, we have to focus on flexibility, mobility, moving well, and functionality, right?
Yep.
But before, we didn't do that before because A, it wasn't too well known, and B, our goals were different, right? We wanted to just look as good as we could.
Get as big as we could.
Get as big as we could. We wanted to fill out a nice shirt before Visions nightclub. Right? that was our goals.
Yep.
So, when we get these clients that walk into the gym and they tell us their goals, right? And that's why we're here to help them reach their goals, right? So that's obviously the number one priority. But we have to formulate a program to give them what they want, but not just what they want, what they need, right? If someone comes into the gym and they're like, hey, listen, Brett, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to, feel confident taking my shirt off at the beach. I want to look good in my wedding dress, and I'm putting them through an overhead squat assessment, right? It's like, it doesn't make much sense. They're not going to have the best experience there. So it's like Anthony and I's jobs are to come up with these programs to give them what they want, but also what we see based on our expertise, what they need.
Right.
And that's when we're like kind of, building this awareness on how important functionality is, right?
Yeah. And a lot of clients for me, like they'll know when they're coming to me that it's okay, he's a sports performance trainer, he trains all these athletes. They know what type of training they're gonna get.
Yeah.
So like if you're overweight and you've never ever touched a weight before, I'm probably not gonna be the best fit for you. Just because of my style of training and the way I like to train. that probably won't be the best fit for you. So I always, will refer out and say, hey, I think you should do this or do that. But, when I get the people that are like, hey, I need to trim 10 pounds, but I want to do it and I want to have fun and I want to get after it and
I'm ready to grind.
I'm ready to grind. Then that's when they will come to me and know, okay, hey, this is it, and this is what I want, and this is what I'm looking for, and I'm very blessed that I have people hitting me up every day to train.
Yeah, and that's a new level of maturity you and I have developed 8 years into the game, right? You look at a trainer that it's their first year of training, they're not going to turn away any type of client.
Or even second, third, fourth.
Yeah, for sure,
fifth.
for sure.
It takes time in this game. It takes time.
And I think it's a great recommendation for anyone that's looking to get into the personal training game to start out at a big global gym, where you're going to be training multiple types of people. Some for weight loss, some for performance, right? Some maybe prehab, rehab, but if you can kind of get your feet wet and build experience on all these type of people you're working with, and then down the road kind of dial into your niche, that's where you really find the bread and butter of good quality training is when you're working with the people you want to work with, and the people that are coming to you kind of know what they're signing up for. Like, this is what I'm signing up for, this is what I like. And what I've been doing personally lately is kind of dialing in on my prospecting system on getting an opportunity to know these people, what they want, how we're going to get there, talk about the game plan, my philosophy on training, and make sure everything's a good fit. And then from there, you're just kind of rolling, as opposed to taking anyone and putting it into a personal training program.
Makes total sense, man. Makes total sense. Well, guys, we're up on an hour already.
That was awesome, man.
That was some solid stuff, man.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely, right? Anthony, you can come on our show anytime you want, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
That was really good. Anthony, where can people reach you?
So you can reach me on Instagram. My name's Anthony_Tumbarello. You guys find me on Facebook, social media, all those things.
What's the website? Yeah,
my website, CoachTumbarello.com. You can go see everything. Kind of has an idea of what I do and how I do it, and everything like that. The athletes that I've worked with. So
nice. And then we'll throw all of his info up on our website.
Yep.
Joe, what's our website?
Domain to be determined.
Domain to be
by the
determined.
Next episode, we'll have a domain that we can actually.
What can they expect on the Bro You're Not 20 Anymore website?
The website's it's basically going to be a place where you can listen to the podcast, also external links linking out to Apple Music and our Spotify links. We'll have all the information on our guests, including Anthony, some information on me and Brett, but also we'll have a lot more content than just what you're hearing on the show. We've got a blog that we're pushing out. We've already got a couple cool articles on there. Some of them sort of summarizing episodes, some of them just about different things that we've talked about in the past, sort of taking a deeper dive into it. So I encourage you to go there. We also encourage you to check out our YouTube channel, Instagram. All those social links will be on our website, and will also be in the body of wherever you listen to this podcast. That text information will be there.
By the way, I love the name.
I love the name.
Thanks,
It's
man.
fantastic.
We actually just changed. Originally it was You're Not 20 Anymore, Bro.
I know.
We've officially thrown Bro back in the front.
I like it.
It's less condescending, apparently, is the feedback.
Yeah. I mean, I like it because every other word that we say is usually bro.
Bro.
What's up, bro?
Bro.
Yo,
You're not
bro.
20 anymore.
Yeah, bro.
You're not 20 anymore.
No, that was awesome. Hey guys, if you got any type of value on this, please, leave us some feedback. Leave us a review. Maybe share it with a friend. I know us three are going to start blowing this out to our network, so we really want to try to build this. Joe, how many downloads you said we had today?
We had 50 on the last episode, and that's without promoting it. So I don't know where they're coming from, but people are finding it.
I'm throwing very small little snippets on Instagram and stuff, but I literally told one person and sent one person the link.
There you go. Well, now we're starting to share it out with everybody, so we expect to see that coming through. So please let us know you're out there. Ask us your questions, send us your reviews, and we're looking forward to hearing them. So this is episode 4 of Bro, You're Not 20 Anymore.